Hello, this is William Michael of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. It's Sunday, March 5th, the second Sunday of Lent, and there's a lot going on right now in the Academy work, and I'd like to just share some updates and announcements by video since it's convenient to do that, and try to help keep everyone up to date on all the stuff that's going on. The Academy, I don't know if you can tell when you're studying or working online, but the Academy is growing very rapidly right now. I really don't know where the interest is coming from, but there are loads of families finding out about the Academy, coming in, asking all the right kinds of questions and getting started, which has been really awesome to see. I think part of the reason is because our program is really filling out now, and I think we're getting a little better at communicating, especially because of the YouTube channel. Over the past year or so, almost every contact we get is familiar with the YouTube videos, so I know that they've been influential. But we've just got new enrollments every single day, and the kids who are coming in are doing pretty well. So it's been very encouraging, but at the same time it's overwhelming because there's just lots of interest, lots of work to do in communicating with all these new families, lots of questions to answer, and we've still got all of our students to take care of. So we've just been working to juggle all of that work. My wife works day by day with most of the students, helping them with their planners and questions and things like that. And I've been devoting myself to just staying locked down and focusing on lesson development, live classes, and so on, trying to provide as much help to as many students as I can day by day. And thankfully, we've got Easter break coming up in just a few weeks, so we'll have some time to freshen up and regroup, because we're running on fumes right now in terms of the work that's needed and so on. So let's just talk about some of the issues that I'd like parents to be aware of, and I'd like to be able to talk freely about a little bit. I sent out a newsletter earlier this weekend which provided some of these updates and some links to resources. That newsletter goes out to thousands and thousands of families, and the response is always very good. I just don't always get time to sit down and put a newsletter together, and I don't want to send out spammy junk. So if I don't have time to put together a really well thought out and helpful email for everyone, I don't send it. So if you didn't see that newsletter come out this week, check your email and take a walk through it, because that will provide you with a bunch of helpful resources and updates at this time. One of the things that has really been impressive to me has been the effectiveness of the live classes that we've had. And thus far, when I started them, I only made them available to premium students who are subscribed to our premium student plan. And that's necessary for a couple of reasons. First of all, if there's going to be interaction in these meetings, they've got to be small groups. We can't have 200 kids in an online meeting room and have any kind of interaction. There'd just be too many kids. Anytime the kids posted something on the chat, there'd be 100 messages and it would be impossible to even read them. So by limiting those live classes to the premium students, it gives me a body of students that's more manageable in a meeting type setting. So that's been really good, and I think the kids have enjoyed it. The kids have participated pretty well and they attend regularly, so I interpret that as some good signs for those live classes, and I intend to continue them, of course. I can't multiply them though, because it's just not realistic to ask the kids to attend more and more meetings when they've got other stuff to do. I mean, if parents wanted to commit to something like that, I would do it. If parents said, yeah, we're willing to meet 3 hours a day for live classes for the kids, I would do it. But what I'm thinking at this point is opening things up to more students, but with a different format. Instead of the meeting arrangement for the live classes, I'm thinking of starting a new set of live classes, but in more of a webinar format, more of a teacher and, or I should say, speaker and listener format. So not expecting participation necessarily, but allowing the kids to come to a meeting, allow me to have the opportunity to walk them through courses and subjects, maybe have a little bit of Q&A type interaction, but not too much, so that we can have a wider audience for those live classes. And I would make them open to anyone, any students enrolled in the academy. So even kids subscribed to the student plan, they could come to these webinar format classes, and there'd be a larger audience for those classes and less of the interaction than we have in the premium student live classes. I like to offer these classes for a number of reasons. Number one, I like to give the kids something live to do. I think it's good for the homeschool kids to have something live to do, interesting for them. I think they're pretty helpful because they sort of normalize the subjects by allowing us to just talk about them and think about them real time rather than on paper. I think that's helpful. I can usually hang out after the class times end and take questions by chat and things like that, and I'm happy to do that. So it allows for some interaction afterwards, which again is good for the homeschool kids. Another benefit for me, and I guess for everybody, is that it allows me to record these meetings, and then I have video content that I can make available to students to help with studies, whether they're in the meetings or not. So there's lots of benefits, and another important one is that when I have a schedule of classes and I've got to be there for these classes, it helps me to consistently get video work produced. Whereas if I'm just left to myself to make videos at my convenience, I end up getting fewer videos made and it's all less productive. So I like having the challenge of the daily meetings. I like having that accountability schedule-wise, and it's better for everybody, I think. So what you'll probably see over the next couple weeks, I'll probably try to get this started before spring break or Easter break, just so we can have a few test runs, because I've never conducted the webinar before, and I'd like to get some experience with that just to fine-tune things before we really dig in and get started. I feel very comfortable with the live class meetings we have, but I'd like to have a few rough draft opportunities with the webinar format to see what would be best for us. So keep an eye out for announcements like that. And again, they'll be open to anybody, any students enrolled who'd like to participate. And there'll be a schedule of classes, which I think the kids will enjoy and they'll find helpful. So that's one thing. Another thing is the big announcement this past week or so was the availability of printed books for CLAA studies. This has been almost miraculous in the sense that it's developed and come together so easily. You know, I thought that moving to print resources was going to be a real project that I might even have to wait and devote the summer to, but once we got started and got the process set up to get things moving into print, we've just been able to blow through this process and get these books up and available for purchase. So that's a big deal. I know that was a concern of my wife, which I'm sure many other homeschool mothers share. Just the freedom that it gives to be able to pull the kids away from the computer, pull them offline, and allow them to study from a book as an alternative to studying online. And I've said this before, I think the best arrangement is a combination of the two. I think being able to study online and do things online, use all the online resources, but then to also be able to walk away from that and study away from the computer at a desk or on the couch or at a table somewhere else, even outside the house, even away from home, just really makes our studies feel freer. And in addition to making these books available, I'm also going to make it, I'm going to allow students to submit handwritten assignments using our ticket system as a normal way to submit assignments, which just, again, makes it all one level freer for everyone to be able to decide how they want to handle their studies. So I'll be posting more about that and provide instructions and things, but that should be available. So if parents want their kids writing by hand and submitting assignments, it's really very easy. You take your smartphone, you go on the App Store, whether you have an iPhone or an Android phone, search for an app called Adobe Scan. Get the Adobe Scan app on your phone, and then you simply have the child complete the handwritten work. And you know, the child may have 2 or 3 sheets of paper. You just lay them out on a table, snap images of them with your camera. That app converts them into PDF documents. So not random pictures. I really don't want parents submitting random photographs because they come in and sometimes they're huge files and they're different shapes and sizes, and that gets pretty obnoxious and messy. But if you use the Adobe Scan app, it converts the image into a standard document size. And what's really cool about the Adobe Scan app, and what's cool about converting the kids' work into PDF documents to submit, is that I can open them up on my side, and with a digital pen I can grade them by hand and return them marked and graded, which is even better, I think, than submitting just text answers through our online assignment boxes. So we can work on those things this spring, and many students who've been around for a while have done that in the past, so they know what I'm talking about. But I plan to make that available to more users this spring. So live classes, webinar form live classes for all students, printed books becoming available, handwritten assignments and marked paper grading returned to students by email. Those are some developments that are worth noting. Another thing my wife and I talked about today, I had originally, to help the kids in the courses on the study center, I had added student forums at the top of the course pages. A student forum, dedicated to each course. And I thought that would be helpful for the students to post questions and things like that on these forums. And then we could respond to those forums, or other students could respond to those questions, and the answers would be available for all other students to see in the future. So it would help to save some time for kids just looking for help with a certain lesson. But those student forums have become very busy and difficult to keep an eye on. Busier than I expected them to be. And I realize that as our enrollment continues to grow and more students begin posting on those student forums, I've got to have a more efficient way on my side of being able to receive those questions and requests for help and respond in a manageable way. So those student forums really are not going to be sufficient for us. And so what I've done is I've set up, in our help center. If you've never been to our help center, you should be, because it's really very helpful. But if you go to help.classicalliberalarts.com, help.classicalliberalarts.com, you'll find this self-help center where I try to post answers to all the questions that I receive and make them publicly available. If you submit a ticket using the ticket form, or if you send an email, you'll often get a response that shows you some suggested articles that may answer your questions. Those are all coming from that help center. So you can access that help center directly at help.classicalliberalarts.com. One feature on that help center that we have but haven't used very much is a whole community forum that's connected to that help center, which is really awesome. And what I'm going to do is redirect students, instead of having those student forums on the top of the course pages, I'm going to direct the students to that community forum on the help center, where I've set up categories based on the course categories or subject areas like trivium, quadrivium, and so on. And the kids can just post their questions there. And that also, because it's a community forum, it allows any other students to still be able to respond and discuss things that are posted there. So it serves the same purpose, but does so a little more efficiently. Just requires some more office expenses on my side to make that available, but I think it's worth it. So I've already set that up, and I'm going to organize that and link it up to the course pages hopefully this evening. So make use of that community forum, and you can access that community forum directly if you go to that help center at help.classicalliberalarts.com. Up on the top you'll see a link to community, and if you click on that you'll see what I'm talking about. So that should help get the kids some quicker responses to their questions, which I'm excited about. And then another issue developing is we had a messaging system on the study center, and we all know that stuff's annoying because the kids get on there and they start bothering each other, and there may be kids on there whose parents don't want them talking to anybody and they just hate everyone. No, I'm just kidding. They just don't want their kids distracted by that one annoying kid who's enrolled and decides to message everyone. Probably one of my kids. But anyway, a parent was concerned, a parent who had not yet enrolled but was just asking questions, was concerned about that whole message mess. And I actually agree. I don't like that stuff either. I try to give in once in a while to requests from students. But that messaging system on the study center where kids need to do their work, we really don't need that. So after having a little discussion with this parent and realizing that it was a pretty good question and concern, I decided to shut down that messaging system, and I created a separate discussion forum for the kids, which they can access directly, and it's off the study center, so it's voluntary. Parents can allow their kids to use it. Parents can choose to not allow their kids to use it. But that student forum, and you can get there by going to classicalliberarts.com/forums with an S at the end, forums, plural. The kids have really taken to that forum, and I'm really happy to see the kids on there chatting with each other, talking about their interests outside of their studies, as well as some of their studies. But I've created a big list of topic boards for them to talk about. I'm appointing some of the kids, some of our little academy zealots, appointing some of them as moderators for the forums, and those forums are going to be a really nice break for the kids to connect with other kids all over the world and just have some time to chat about fun topics. Share pictures, talk about their hobbies, their different things they do, where they live, books they like, movies. They share stories they've written. They're sharing poems they're writing. They're sharing drawings they've done. They're sharing sewing projects and clothes they've made. And I think that's really good for the kids. And speaking as a parent to other parents, I think it's good for us to let our kids have an outlet like that and sort of give them a little bit of freedom. You know, don't be miserable about it. Don't be critical of every single thing everything they type. They get a little bit silly or whatever. It's okay. You know, it's controlled. It's private. It's safe. No one can get into that forum unless I personally approve their account when they sign up. So it's a safe place where we can allow the kids to get a little bit of that homeschool energy out, if you know what I mean. Connect with some kids, talk about their own interests, be a little silly if they want to, and it's not that big a deal. It's a concession that we can make to just give the kids a break, because what we ask of them socially in homeschooling is a lot. You think back to when I was in school and just how busy my social life was, even though it wasn't all good. Nevertheless, there was a lot of good in it. But I was always busy. I always had things to do, people to talk to, and so on. And many of our kids lack that. And it's a real challenge in homeschooling. And I think even a simple resource like the forums for the kids to chat on and have some fun with, I think it's a necessary concession that we have to make as homeschool parents, and let them have a little fun. So that's available. And again, if your kids are not already on there, and it's open to any enrolled students, you can get there at classicalliberarts.com/forums. So lots of stuff going on. Like I said, the Academy enrollment is growing rapidly, and I'm kind of nervous because we usually don't have too much activity this early in the year, and it gets busier progressively as we move into the summer. But we've got a lot of new interest, and I don't mean just surveying, kind of kicking the tires interest. I mean, where do we sign up interest coming in early March, and it's pretty exciting. I'm excited for the kids. I'm excited to get more and more kids into the program, and hope that they can engage with the other kids on the forums and stuff like that, because we've got a nice community of kids in the Academy. If you go on those forums, for example, you'll see that the kids, these are good kids, and they have lots of fun discussions, and it's encouraging to see. And the feedback from them is just thankful and happy. They tell me how fun it is and so on. So I'm happy for the kids to have something like that, because we're asking a lot from them, and we have to give them some help. So I think that's all. Quite a bit going on, quite a bit to talk about. I'm really not sure what the best way to communicate all of these things is, because we live all over the world, and I don't know if you check your email or if you check the announcements on the study center, but I'm going to try my best to share news and updates through as many different channels as I can, so that we can stay connected and keep everyone informed. One other thing I'd like to offer while I'm talking about communication: if parents are interested in something like this, we can schedule a time, let's say later in the evening during the week, to just have a Zoom meeting for parents. That's just sort of like an open parent discussion meeting, where we can get together, talk about stuff going on in the Academy for one side, but also just in homeschooling in general, parenting, any kind of concerns parents have, any help that parents need. We can have a regular weekly Zoom meeting scheduled for something like that. If you'd be interested in that, if you'd like to connect with other parents, have some open discussion like that, share some ideas, talk to each other, I'd be happy to set that up and host it. I just need to know that parents would be interested in doing that. So if you'd like to do that, I would attend, obviously, and we can just answer any questions, talk about things, and those meetings can start, like I said, later in the evening, like kids are in bed, house is quiet. We can have a time to meet, and those meetings can just sort of be open-ended. If they last 45 minutes, great. If they last an hour and a half, great. If someone wants to hang on for a little longer and continue a discussion, great. So if you'd be interested in something like that, I'd be willing to do it. We just need to settle on a day of the week and time, and we can get that started anytime. So that's another thing to think about. I'd be happy to do that, and I think it would be helpful. So that's all. Again, it's Sunday, March 5th, the second Sunday of Lent. I hope you're enjoying a blessed Lent so far. I know it's challenging with all the work that needs to be done. It's hard to stay focused, but that's the point of Lent. It's to help us take a time to focus in a special way. Today's Mass readings, we read about the Transfiguration, which I always find pretty fascinating. And one thing I thought about today that I'd just like to recommend for some encouragement on a Sunday to try to keep this proper for a Sunday discussion. If you've ever read the book of Revelation at the end of the Bible, or if you've never read the book of Revelation, either way, read the passage from today's Mass reading of the Transfiguration, get that in your mind and then go read the book of Revelation. It's interesting because the book of Revelation is written by St. John the Apostle, and he was one of the 3 apostles present at the Transfiguration in Matthew 17. And it's interesting to realize that John saw Jesus transfigured there on the mountain with Peter and James. But later on, 60 or so years later, John received a second vision, or at least another vision of Jesus in that transfigured glory. And it's just interesting to compare those two things, to think of the Transfiguration and use that as a key for reading the book of Revelation. So anyway, we're supposed to have something to share with each other whenever we talk, something spiritual, something from the scriptures or from church teaching, and that's my Sunday contribution. If you've got any questions about any of these things I've talked about, just send me an email. It's mail@classicalliberalarts.com. And I hope you all have a good week this week as we continue our studies. And make sure you remind the kids to keep working hard because we've got Easter break coming up. So we've got a finish line ahead of us. And I think we can help the kids by encouraging them to keep busy because some rest is coming. God bless.